Welcome, rare gems. Some women fear the fire, other women simply become it. R.H. Sin. There comes a moment when the masks fall off, the illusions crumble, and you stop trying to shrink yourself to fit into other people's comfort zones. It doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it feels like anger, silence, exhaustion, or even isolation. But if you're reading this, chances are you're not falling apart. You're waking up. You're in the early stages of what I call your Sigma female villain origin story. Before you panic at the word villain, understand this. It's not about turning cruel. It's about finally refusing to betray yourself just to keep the peace. It's the shift from being accommodating to being aligned, from being agreeable to being accountable to yourself. You're not cold. You're calculating what's worth your time. You're not mean. You're precise. You're not too much. They were just hoping you'd stay small. When you're in this phase, you might feel misunderstood, even demonized, but trust this. The more you claim your boundaries, your voice, and your worth, the more you'll see who never truly saw you in the first place. This isn't your downfall. It's your becoming. So, if you've ever felt like the people around you don't recognize who you're becoming, or worse, fear it, watch this video to the end. You might just realize you're not the problem. You're the plot twist, and it's time you owned every part of it. Remember this. The rare gems, the Sigma female, isn't a title anyone gives you, it's who you are. Let's dive into it. Number 1. You've accepted that being misunderstood is the cost of greatness. Here's the truth. You've learned the hard way. Greatness comes with a price. And that price, it's often being misunderstood. The deeper you go, the more layers you peel back, the more people around you just don't get it. They can't grasp your vision, your ambition, or the intensity with which you pursue your goals. They'll try to label you, judge you, or even dismiss you, because your depth feels overwhelming to those who are still operating on the surface. But instead of shrinking, instead of watering yourself down to make others feel comfortable, you've learned to stand tall in your own complexity. You've come to realize that being misunderstood isn't something to be ashamed of. In fact, it's a mark of greatness. The more you rise, the more you evolve, the more those who are content with mediocrity will find it hard to understand who you are or where you're going. And that's okay. You're not here for their approval, and you never were. You've stopped apologizing for being different. You don't dumb down your ideas to make them easier for others to digest. Your mind doesn't work in simple terms, and your ambitions don't fit neatly into their small boxes. The depth of your thoughts, your vision, and your drive is power, and if it intimidates or confuses people, that's a reflection of their limitations, not yours. You've accepted that some people will never get you, and you've stopped shrinking yourself to make them feel safe. Instead, you own your depth. You embrace your complexity. You've realized that greatness doesn't come with a crowd of followers. It comes with a willingness to stand alone, misunderstood, and unapologetic in your pursuit of something greater than what the world is willing to accept. So don't apologize for being misunderstood. Let it be a sign that you're on the right path, a path that only the bold dare to walk. Your depth will drown the shallow, and that's exactly as it should be. Number 2. You've learnt that morality is often just control in disguise. As you start to dig deeper into the world around you, you begin to see things differently. The ideas you once accepted as moral truths no longer feel so solid. You start to question the systems that have taught you what's right and wrong, good and bad, and you realize something powerful. Morality, as it's often presented, isn't about truth. It's about control. You see, so much of what society pushes as moral is really designed to keep you in line, to make you conform, to keep you submissive. It's all a subtle play of power. The idea that you should always be kind, always be generous, never challenge authority. It's not about making you a better person. It's about making you predictable, manageable, and obedient. You're learning that true morality isn't something dictated by anyone else. It's personal. It's about your own values, your own principles, and your own sense of right and wrong. You're starting to understand that it's okay to break free from the traditional mold of what's good and define your own ethics. Why should you bend to a system that was designed to keep you small? Why should you fit into a box that doesn't align with who you are or what you believe? This is dangerous in the best possible way. When you stop accepting the moral frameworks that others impose on you, you become unpredictable, free. You stop being submissive to a system that's always trying to control you, and you start thinking for yourself. You're becoming a force that questions, challenges, and doesn't back down. The truth is, the systems that want to keep you small don't like people who think for themselves, who redefine morality on their own terms. But that's exactly why you're doing it. You're not playing by their rules. You're dangerous to their control, and that's the kind of power that can't be ignored. Number 3. You've outgrown people you love. And it hurts, but you're moving anyway. This is one of the toughest realizations to face. Sometimes the people you love, the ones you've invested in, aren't meant to make it to the end of your journey. It's not a betrayal, and it doesn't mean you don't care about them anymore. But you've grown. You've evolved into a version of yourself that no longer fits with who they are or where they're going. And that can hurt like hell. You never imagined this day would come. The day when you look around and realize that some of the people closest to you, the ones you thought would be with you forever, just can't come along for the ride. It doesn't mean they've done anything wrong. It doesn't mean they don't matter to you, but your paths have shifted. You've outgrown them. And deep down, you know you have to keep moving forward, even if it means walking away from relationships you once thought were permanent. The pain comes from love, from the realization that you have to let go of what you once thought would always be. But there's also a certain kind of freedom in it. You can't keep holding on to people just because you have a shared history. Not everyone is meant to cross your finish line. Some people are chapters in your story, but not the entire book. They were there to teach you something, to shape you in ways you didn't understand at the time. But now it's your turn to turn the page. The hardest part? The knowing that this goodbye doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means that their role in your story has ended, and that's okay. You've learned that your growth can't be sacrificed for comfort, and the future you're building requires you to keep moving forward, no matter how much it hurts. It's painful, yes, but it's also necessary. You're not leaving anyone behind. You're simply making room for the person you've become. And in doing so, you're honoring your own journey. And that's something you can't afford to compromise on. Number 4. You're selective with joy because you fought for it. There was a time when you might have let joy slip through your fingers as if it was something that would always just come to you naturally. You didn't always protect it, and in turn, it often felt fleeting, hard to hold on to. You were generous with your energy, offering your joy to situations, people, and places that didn't always deserve it. But over time, you learned something powerful. Joy isn't just a gift that you hand out freely. It's something you fight for, something you cultivate, and something you protect with everything you have. Now, happiness is a treasure. You've earned it. And because of that, you're incredibly selective with who and what you share it with. You've learned the hard way that not everyone deserves to share in your light. Your joy isn't something you give to just anyone or any situation. It's a sacred part of you, and you've realized the importance of safeguarding it. That's why you set boundaries now. You're no longer willing to let toxic people, draining situations, or manipulative energy steal your peace. You've stopped pretending that everything is fine when it isn't, and you've learned the power of saying no to things that don't align with your happiness. You're brutally honest with yourself and others about what you need to feel good, and you protect your joy as if it's the most precious thing you have. Because honestly, it is. You don't need to justify your happiness or explain why you need space. You've fought for the right to feel good, to experience peace, and to be surrounded by things that nourish you. Your joy is a result of your hard-earned boundaries, your growth, and your refusal to settle for anything less than what makes you whole. So when people try to take from you, to drain you, or to dim your light, you know better now. You protect your happiness fiercely. You've earned it, and you won't let anyone take it for granted. Number 5. You're obsessed with discipline, not motivation. Motivation is a fleeting spark. Some days it's there, lighting up the path and pushing you forward. Other days, it's nowhere to be found, leaving you stuck, waiting for that right moment to start. But you've learned the hard truth. If you rely on motivation to drive you, you'll be left stranded. Motivation isn't the foundation of success. Discipline is. You've stopped waiting for the days when you feel like it. You don't wait for inspiration to knock on your door. You've embraced the grind, the routine, the consistency. You've learned that true power comes from showing up no matter how you feel. Whether you're tired, distracted, or just not in the mood, you move. Every single day. This is where the Sigma core resides, in the ability to push forward without needing the emotional highs to carry you. Discipline is the muscle that keeps you going even when motivation is nowhere to be found. It's the understanding that progress isn't made in bursts of excitement, but through steady, relentless effort over time. The kind of effort that makes you strong, not just physically but mentally. There are days when it hurts, days when the weight feels too heavy, when the work feels endless. But you move anyway, because you know that this is where the growth happens, in the discomfort, in the struggle, in the refusal to quit when the world tells you it's too much. You don't back down, you don't make excuses, and you don't wait for someone else to push you. You take full responsibility for your progress. And that's the Sigma mindset. The power comes from within, from the unshakable commitment to move forward, regardless of external circumstances. Discipline becomes your second nature, and it's what separates those who merely dream from those who achieve. Number 6. You no longer chase, you attract, then evaluate. There was a time when you thought you had to chase things to make them happen. Whether it was love, friendship, opportunities, or approval. You'd put in the effort, try to prove your worth, and hope someone or something would meet you halfway. It felt like a race, and for a long time you ran. But somewhere along the way, you learned a powerful truth. Chasing feels desperate. And desperation, that's energy wasted. Now you've shifted. You've stopped running after people, opportunities, or validation. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to anyone. Instead, you've learned the art of attraction, not forceful, but magnetic. You attract what aligns with your energy, what matches your frequency. You've become the kind of person that others gravitate toward, not because you're chasing them, but because you've grown into someone worthy of being in the right spaces. You've stopped seeking. Instead, you let things and people come to you, and when they do, you don't immediately let them in. You evaluate, you observe. You've learned to take a step back and see who's truly meant to be a part of your world and who's just passing through. You no longer need to rush into relationships or opportunities. You give them time to reveal themselves for what they truly are, not what you want them to be. And that's the power shift. You're no longer handing out your energy to anyone who asks for it. You protect it, and only the ones who deserve to stay get to. Because now, you trust the process. You know that the right things, the right people, will show up when the time is right. And if they don't, that's fine too. You've learned that the best things don't need to be chased. They come when you're in the right place, with the right energy, waiting for the right match. Number 7. You no longer react. You observe, then strike. There was a time when you reacted to everything. Someone disrespected you, you fired back immediately. An opportunity slipped through your fingers, you scrambled to fix it. Every challenge, every insult, every setback you confronted head-on, often with immediate emotion. But over time you realized that reacting so quickly, so instinctively wasn't always the smartest move. You began to see that sometimes the best thing to do is nothing at all. And that's when everything changed. Now you've learned the art of patience. You don't rush to respond or retaliate anymore. Instead, you observe. You let the situation unfold, you take in the full scope of what's happening, and only then do you make your move. You understand that not everything deserves a response, and not every situation demands your energy. Some things, some people, are best left without a reaction. You've come to realize that silence is often your greatest tool. While others may act impulsively, you hold back. You wait, you think, and you allow time to reveal the truth. Often, when you stay quiet, others reveal themselves without you having to do a thing. And when it's finally time to act, you strike with precision, knowing exactly how and when to move. There's power in this newfound patience. You don't waste your energy on things that don't matter. And you reserve your strength for the moments that count. What you've gained is more than just control over your reactions. It's a mastery of your emotions, your time, and your energy. You've learned that sometimes the best way to win is not to engage in every battle. Instead, you pick your moments carefully, and when you do act, it's with calculated force, fully aware of the impact you'll make. In a world where everyone is quick to respond, your silence is your secret weapon, and it makes you stronger than ever. Number 8. Your compassion has edges now. There was a time when your heart was an open door, always ready to take in anyone who needed help. You believed that love and compassion could heal anything, that with enough care you could fix broken people. But that belief, though pure, eventually became a burden. You ended up giving more than you had, pouring into others who weren't ready to heal, and losing pieces of yourself in the process. Now, you've learned that compassion isn't an endless well that everyone gets to dip into. Your compassion has edges. You still care, deeply, fiercely, but you've realized that there are rules now, boundaries, limitations, and the most important one of all, you can't save people from themselves. You've stopped being the rehab center for other people's broken potential. You understand now that healing is a personal journey. And no matter how much you want to carry someone's pain for them, it's not your job to do the heavy lifting. It took time to learn this, to accept that sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is let people go through their struggles without offering to fix everything. You've realized that some people need to hit rock bottom to find their own strength. Some need to face the consequences of their own actions before they can grow. And while you'll still show up for those who are actively working on themselves, you no longer feel responsible for saving everyone you encounter. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you wise. You're still deeply compassionate, but now you're wise enough to know when to step back, when to say no, and when to let people face their own truths. Compassion isn't about endlessly sacrificing yourself. It's about knowing when to give and when to preserve your energy for the right people, the ones who are ready to walk the journey with you, not just take from it. Number 9. You understand that the villain was just the hero with a boundary. There's a shift that happens in your growth, a realization that's hard to ignore but impossible to deny. You've been taught that the villain is the one who gets left behind in the story, the one who's wrong, the one who's lost their way. But what if the villain isn't actually the problem? What if the villain was just the hero who finally decided to draw a line? You've seen it now. The moment you start setting boundaries, the world pushes back. People who once took advantage of your kindness, patience, and willingness to always forgive suddenly act like you've turned into someone unrecognizable. But here's the truth. You're not the villain. You're just the hero who's finally standing up for themselves. Your villain story, it's not about corruption, it's about correction. It's about the point in your life when you stopped letting people walk all over you, when you stopped shrinking to make others feel comfortable. You didn't change who you were. You just stopped apologizing for your existence. And that's what makes people uncomfortable. When you put yourself first, when you make your boundaries clear, unapologetically, you're suddenly labeled as difficult, cold, or even heartless. But you've learned that those labels are just projections from people who can't handle your growth. They've never had to face the fact that you're no longer tolerating what used to drain you. You're not a villain. You're someone who decided their peace, their time, and their energy are worth protecting. You've evolved, not by turning into someone else, but by becoming more of you, the unapologetic, boundary-respecting, self-respecting you. So when people react to your newfound strength, don't apologize. Don't second-guess your right to stand firm. You're not playing a villain's role. You're simply refusing to be the martyr anymore. And that's a story worth owning. Number 10. You're willing to be alone if it means being free. There was a time when you thought you needed people to feel whole. You thought love, friendship, and constant company were the keys to happiness. So you stuck around in relationships, situations, and spaces that didn't serve you just to avoid being alone. But now, you've realized that being alone isn't something to fear. It's a freedom many never get to experience. You've chosen authenticity over attachment. You've learned that not all closeness is healthy. Forced intimacy, That's just polished codependency. It looks like connection, but it's actually a cage. You've been there. The endless cycle of needing to be around someone just to feel okay or wanted. You've come to see that attachment, when it's not based on mutual growth and respect, is nothing more than a trap. Now, you'd rather be alone than fake your way through relationships that drain you. And here's the kicker. Being alone doesn't feel lonely anymore. It feels like liberation. You get to breathe. You get to think clearly. You get to exist in your own space without constantly navigating someone else's needs, moods, or expectations. It took courage to make this choice, but it's also been your greatest act of self-respect. You no longer compromise your truth just to fit into someone else's version of what you should be. If it means standing alone for a while, so be it. Because what you've found is that your freedom is worth more than any forced relationship or temporary connection. You're not running away from people. You're running toward yourself. And in that pursuit of self, you've realized the deepest connection you'll ever need is the one you have with yourself. So, when others say, "But why are you alone?" you smile because you've come to understand something they haven't yet. True freedom is born from solitude, not from constant attachment, and you're thriving in it. Number 11. You're not antisocial. You're anti-bullsh**T. Let's clear something up. You don't dislike people. You're not cold, weird, or difficult. You're just done pretending. You're done with surface-level conversations, fake smiles, and the exhausting performance of fitting into spaces where authenticity is considered too much. You're not antisocial. You're highly selective. And that's a strength, not a flaw. Small talk bores you. Gossip drains you. And hanging out just to kill time, that's not your thing anymore. You value energy, intention, and presence. If someone shows up with an agenda, a mask, or a vibe that feels off, you feel it immediately. And instead of ignoring it like you used to, you now honor that feeling. You've learned that socializing isn't just about being around people, it's about being around the right people. People whose energy doesn't feel like a performance. People who speak with clarity, act with consistency, and don't try to manipulate, compete, or extract. You're not interested in fake bonding anymore. You crave connection that's real, rooted, and rare. And yes, that might mean your circle is smaller now, maybe even tiny, but it's solid. And that peace, you'd never trade it for popularity or fake company. You no longer attend every invite, answer every call, or entertain every conversation. Not because you're rude, but because your time is sacred and your energy is earned. You'd rather sit in silence than in shallow company. So if people say you've gone quiet or distant, let them wonder. You're not obligated to explain your peace. You've simply realized that protecting your energy sometimes looks like solitude. And solitude isn't loneliness, it's power. You don't hate people, you hate pretending. And the real ones? They never need you to explain that, they just get it. And that's who you keep close. Conclusion. So here you are, stepping into your Sigma female villain origin story. It's not a transformation you asked for, nor one that's been easy, but it's one you're starting to own with fierce determination. You're shedding the expectations that others have tried to place on you, letting go of the limiting beliefs that once held you back, and embracing the full spectrum of your power. It's not about being bad or evil. It's about rejecting the roles that society tried to force you into and instead carving out your own path. You're rewriting your story, and in the process, you're discovering a strength, depth, and autonomy that most will never understand. It's painful at times. It feels like loss. But each step forward is also a step closer to the woman you were always meant to be. Unapologetically yourself, fearless in your ambitions and unafraid to walk alone if it means walking on your own terms. The world may call you a villain, but remember, villains are simply misunderstood heroes with boundaries. You're not playing by the rules that no longer serve you. You're creating your own. Own the journey. Embrace the discomfort of growth. Let the world underestimate you while you move in silence, setting your own terms and following your own vision. And above all, remember this. Becoming the woman you're meant to be isn't about avoiding the darkness, it's about mastering it. So don't shrink, don't apologize, don't settle. Keep pushing, keep evolving, and keep building your story. It's yours and no one else's. Thank you for watching the Rare Gems, and God bless you.